Hello, my loves. Um, it's Mama Red here. Welcome to my world. Um, I talked about dancing and prayer and slut shaming earlier today, and I just want to let you guys know because I am new to this and I'm just getting started learning how to do it. I honestly haven't figured out how to just record the video and then edit it and upload it. So that's why I'm doing live streams, and I apologize. I'll figure it out if you stick with me. Um, and after the live stream, it takes a while, about 24 hours, for it to process and to put the closed captioning to republish it. So if you just are patient with me for a little while, I'll get there. But what I wanted to talk about is superhero or cosplay, um, and Iron Man or Batman. I saw a talked about Bo of the Fifth Column before, and he, like I said, he's really helped me over these past few years um, with a lot of stuff that's been going on, answering questions, dealing with frustrations, explaining things, and that's kind of what I do. And I have a different perspective. I'm a single parent. I'm disabled, and I have a 10, almost 11-year-old who we are neurodivergent, and we have a lot of special interests. And one of them is anime, superheroes, and streaming, watching YouTubers stream, and listening to Spotify, listening to music and streamers and gamers, watching people play video games. And a lot of parents and boomers don't understand it. So I want to try and help explain it and some of the misconceptions about what's a superhero. And the superheroes, Batman and Iron Man, they were written, after World War II, by boomers for boomers, because they were told that money was merit and it made you worthwhile, and that if you had enough money you could be a hero and savior and be the white knight riding in on the horse. um, Taking the pain and trying to make a difference, but going about it misguidedly. I talked in the previous stream of how to help people is to just simply give them money. And what is has been so frustratingly ugh, repulsive to watch, um, mostly the male counterparts to my generation and over, boomers and Gen Xers, um, idolizing billionaires just simply because they're wealthy. They have hoarded wealth, or they have benefited from war profiteering, making weapons. And while in the arc stories of Batman and Iron Man, they tried to turn to do good and save humanity from itself. It's a narrative that is false. It's what led us to Trump. And the first mistake I made when I was my first election, I voted, um, was for Ross Perot, because I thought this country, is broke and it's struggling, and a businessman who understands how to make money and focus on that being a priority, that people needed money. I thought it was a good idea. Um, he received terrible, terrible threats to himself and to his family. Uh, yeah, I mean, he was scared. He had to hide. I voted for him. That was, again, my first election, and that's who I voted for. Um, and because he was wealthy, and I link in the description here of the article that I took it from. But essentially, it was talking about Batman and Iron Man and superheroes and who's wealthier, as if it made a difference. but people want to know. So, according to this article, Batman in 2022, 2021, don't quote me, like I said, the article's in the link, um, said that Batman had 9 billion approximately, and Iron Man had 12 billion. And so you think about what they represented, most especially technology and advancement and weaponry and cool gadgets, planes and cars and jets and repelling equipment and smoke bombs and just cool shit. Cool shit, man. Lots of toys. Pew pew. Right? So let's talk about our kids. Because they're really, really, really scared right now. My my daughter and I have talked about this a lot. And they're on TikTok a lot. That's how they talk to each other. It's the town square. You know, uh, my daughter. It was really funny because she thinks like me, in a lot of ways, and she was saying that these communication systems like Snapchat and Insta and things like that the kids are using she said they're the modern day carrier pigeons, Mom. We're just talking to each other. They're just sending letters. They just have really cool fucking tools and technology to do that and to stay in touch. And they get to play. When you were a kid, what did you do? Create stories, narratives, play dress up with your friends, create elaborate stories, world adventures, and being a superhero. Yeah? So that's what the kids are doing, and they're doing it on TikTok. And they're sharing knowledge. It's not just playing. It's a lot of it. A lot of it is just playing, but it's trying to deal with the trauma of the world and the world around them. And when we belittle them and shame them for one of the only resources, the only communication lines of communication that they have with each other is via TikTok and YouTube streaming videos and Spotify and podcasts. And kids, they're talking to each other about very serious things. They're talking about poverty. They're talking about rape. They're talking about moving. They're talking about transgender issues. They're talking about gender reassignment. They're talking about superheroes and miniseries movies and Netflix and streaming and desperately searching for heroes, for people who to look up to and model and to help rescue them. Because we've left them nothing. Our children know that the cake is a lie. It's not there. You never get to the end. It's always one more level, one more boss that you got to battle and defeat, right? What's it like as a grown-up? If I just get caught up this week, next week it'll be smooth sailing until something else happens, and then we'll have to deal with that, and then we can catch up next week. But after that, next week is going to be great. It'll be smooth sailing, and it just never happens. Life doesn't work that way. You can never be prepared, no matter what. And so how can we help our kids prepare them? Well, they're preparing themselves. So what we need to do is help monitor. How do you do that? People are scared about it. There's very, very easy tools. One of the things that I was taught when, in the 90s, when I took computer classes at community colleges, because I wanted to understand and be in the workforce, I was very frustrated by computers. They overwhelmed me. But is learning how to use new tools and technology and understanding. And I'll do another video about video games exclusively and how they are the new unofficial public curriculum in this world and country. You just have to catch up. But again, that's going to be a side conversation. Let's just talk about right now. Let's talk about. I'm going to put my eyeballs back on for a second here. I'd made a couple of notes. So let's talk about Minecraft. Right? Seeing the T-shirts, you watch your kids play the games. Have your kids ever watched a Minecraft challenge competition? They had what's called a master challenge. Bunch of people, kids, adults, play these games, Minecraft, and they build these elaborate worlds and have these role-playing games, these RPGs. And they do silly things like recreate historical monuments. They create castles and have bed wars. They do making cake, where you have to go out and you have to find what you need. You have to find the wheat and gather it. You have to find the chickens and get them to lay eggs. And I mean, the whole process, step by step, beginning to end, virtually. And they compete and they do that. And things like virtual archery, all these competitions. And they just stream it. They just play games and they watch each other and they talk while they do it. And we've dismissed them as a waste of time, and it's really not. It's community building. It's sharing information on Minecraft. They have a public library where people have uploaded books and texts that have been banned around the world. Did you ever read Fahrenheit 451? Ray Bradbury. Essentially, time of fascism, firemen were not people who were sent to your home to help put out fires and save you. Firemen, fire persons were sent to your homes to find books and contraband and to remove them from your home and to burn them in a public square. And it's not just fictional. This was done many, many times over history, like I talked about before, about the burning of the library in Alexandria. And during the fascist rise of the Nazis and Adolf Hitler, that was one of the things they did, was they would ban books and burn them. And so these kids that we look down on and talk shit and minimize and dismiss are preserving our knowledge and heritage for the future generations. And we're just shitting on them, dude. Why? Sorry, I was told I'm not supposed to use that. Born and raised in California. A dude, I grew up, again, in Southern California, so it was the surfer dude thing. It's ingrained into my vocab. And dude ranch, it's just people. It's genderless, but anyways, semantics. But streaming and Roblox. So again, in Roblox, they have this library of genuine texts that are being shared globally, so that we don't lose that knowledge, that we don't lose that literature and art and history. Things like Animal Crossing. You know, it teaches everything about personal finance and how you have to work and earn money so that you can build and expand your home and purchase things. But again, like I said, that's another discussion. But so YouTube is one of the largest platforms, obviously, here, and the reason why is because it's a private company that's been doing this for a very long time, and it's the number one platform for video sharing because it has good guidelines, because it has regulations, because they have good algorithms and monitoring after this video publishes. I can go and look and see how many views I've had and the time period and what parts of the world. And it's just amazing technology to be able to monitor and make sure that we're safe and our kids are safe. But your computer, your phone, your tablet, it's smarter than you are, just so you know. And if you use it accurately, you can use it as your own narrative, your own journal or diary or family history, family tree, family trips. Google it. Every picture that you take, if you have the location on, we'll put a pinpoint. Um, we've traveled the world, and that's one of the things I've done is I embraced this technology years ago, so that whenever you take a picture with this, it automatically uploads to a cloud and is preserved. I don't do scrapbooks and baby books and journals, and I just don't. I got too much shit to do. I've got ADHD. My brain never stops, and I can't sit down and complete a thought. So I've left a trail of crumbs for my child to create her own story and narrative and to write my biography. But but what's amazing about it, just the Google Maps, again, taking pictures. So I showed her recently how I can pull it up. I pulled up the account, and you pull it up and you click on your account, and you click on a map, and it will have little red dots all over the world, like we used to put on the wall. Remember? We used to have big maps on the wall, put our little push pins, places we wanted to go, places we had been, places of interest, things like that. That's what Google does for us. It chronologues our lives if we take advantage of it and pay attention. It creates photo albums and timelines and history, accurate history that you can use for yourself to protect yourself. The downside is that because of the fascist state in this country and because of now the abortion ban and more terrible legislation that is going to come, you need to be aware of this on your phones. So some technological advanced tool that I've embraced and use and chronicle our lives, our daily lives and experience. Uh, it, it'll be used as a weapon against us, just so you know. So you got to protect it. You've got to decide who you want to have access to your information. Who do you need to protect? What is sensitive information that's not necessarily safe to share with people, including physical location and history, pictures, photos, the sound of your voice, fingerprints, eye scans. We have all of this technology. We just our government just chooses when they use it. And how they do that, how they control and manipulate our technology and our tools and things that we have available to us is saying that it's a national security and putting it under the military budget. Billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars every day for this technology. We can pretty much do anything we want. So if we can do anything we want, and we can have constant contact with anyone in the world and instantly share information and build, it really scares the powers that be. And another thing I've noticed is I saw and listened to news report. They had a meeting, leaders of Britain and the United States, communications security advisors, I believe. I could be wrong. I'll have to find it and try and link it. But the Britain and England were talking about TikTok and how it's a potential threat to our national security because our children are vulnerable because of TikTok, because it has our information and our location. It knows where we live, knows what we look like, knows what we sound like, knows what our interests are, and so they could use that against us. It is scary. It's really scary. They've been doing it for many years. TikTok started out as Musically. It's just changed and grown. They monitor it. They might take our information or metadata and use it for marketing, oppression. I don't know. They'll use it. It's theirs. So you can't do anything about that right now. It's already out there. You can just choose what you do from now on. And how you live your life and what information you choose to share. And I am fairly public now. I've had everything threatened. I've survived. They've tried to kill me. They've tried to take everything. They've tried to take my child. They've tried to silence me, and I'm just not afraid anymore. I mean, I am. I'm fucking terrified. I'm afraid every second of every day. I know that I am a big fat person. I have very large, huge arms, big body, roly-poly. I used to weigh almost 500 pounds. At my largest, I weighed 495 pounds. I have been fat shamed and been the victim of fat phobia and violence because of simply of how my body and the genetics work. I've lost a lot of weight, and in the last few years has been very detrimental to my health. I'm essentially a functioning anorexic. I'm hardly ever able to eat and keep it down, very small amounts. Most of my nutrients comes from drinking tea, and right now my favorite is a blend of Earl Grey and chai. That's how I get my nutrients, just because I can't, my body can't process any other way. The anxiety and stress and depression in this world is slowly draining my life away. But I will continue to fight and be there for you and share knowledge and power, um, so that we can get through this together. But there's someone I want to talk about. I keep talking about Minecraft, and the reason it's so important is because something happened this last week that the mainstream and most adults have absolutely no clue about. And our children and young people and nerds and people of Minecraft and YouTube are in mourning right now. They lost someone who they have idolized and followed and listened to for a very long time. His name was Alex. We just found out he was 23, and he unfortunately lost the battle with cancer. His father recorded a video for his son recently, and I watched it the other day. And I had seen it, but I hadn't watched it. What made me watch it, I just ignored it. But what made me watch it was my daughter came to me and said, "Ma, can I show you something?" Of course. And she told me about how sad she was because she had lost Technoblade, and she wasn't a big fan. It wasn't one of the people that she had religiously followed. There's other people that she likes much better, but Technoblade, he was very loved, very popular, funny, kind, supportive, was always trying to help people, doing giveaways and competitions, and just someone for the youth in this world to look up to, even if you are living in a digital world. There's a lot of other people. There's a group called the Dream SMP. There's a group of the Dream SMP is a bunch of people who they're young, mostly young boys in England, mostly white. They're slightly problematic, but they're mostly harmless. They're trying to find their way in the world. They found each other. They're all weirdos, and they found their tribe, and they support each other, and they do stuff together, and they stream, and they play games, and they're silly, and it's nothing different than what we read about in Jane Austen's Little Women, where Joe would write plays for Marmee and the family and the neighbors, and they would come over, and their sisters would dress up and write dialogue and plots and stories, and they would perform them. Yes, it's the same thing. They just have better tools. They got better costuming, better writing and lighting. Let them do it. Stop criticizing it. Enjoy it. Stop looking at it as a distraction or a waste of time, because it's not. They said the same thing to us when we would play Pac-Man and Centipede and listen to Metallica and punk, rap, hip-hop. Remember breakdancing in the 80s? Remember being at school and everybody just acting like a little silly spinny worm on the ground, spinning, dance battles. One of the things that come back up is a new series, The Umbrella Academy. And their new season had an opening sort of fantasy dance sequence recreated based on the iconic Footloose prom in a barn dancing. The last video we talked about how dancing is prayer. And one of the things the religious right has done was they took that out. I went to a Christian school that dancing was not allowed. We didn't have dances. It was too problematic, and sexual, and people close to each other and touching bodies and against God. And instead of being dancing as a prayer and a celebration and an act of joy. And that's what Footloose was. Footloose was a little tiny town, and the little church and the minister, because of his pain of losing his son in a tragic accident, decided that dancing and rock and roll and all these things would be banned in their town to protect them. And it just forced people to go outside of town limits to dance. To share joy and fear and anger and passion. Dancing is the physical manifestation of our emotions. And this is the insidiousness of the religious right, is they want to control everything. Your thoughts, every thought. And program you to shame yourself. They don't have to keep watch over you. Mostly. We do it to ourselves. We're indoctrinated. We are groomed by the religious right to bow to their authority and to be unquestioning in their authority, because they make the rules. They wield the wands and the pens and write the laws, and they have the police officers and the sheriffs and the district attorneys all on the same side. for the most part in many places, because we've allowed money to be our consciousness, and it's not. It's a false god. We know this, right? What's the true wealth that we have? Each other. That's the only thing I have left, is me. And I'm giving myself, I'm giving what I have that is most valuable in the world, is my knowledge, to you, in hopes that it might help you answer questions, think, reach out, talk to other people, but understand how this is so big, and you can't fix everything, because there's simply just too much to do. But incremental, baby steps. Every little tiny thing that you do builds up over the years. So things like, so you just want to eat better. So you make little changes, like stop using white sugar. Try to cut down on salt. Maybe start buying organic. Then maybe start cooking, you know. And you love cooking so much that you start growing your own veg, fruit, some herbs. Got a window, you can grow something. And those little tiny changes that we make in our lives to improve our eating and nutrition and health and happiness, when it starts out, if over time it starts out, you just did one little thing that you got used to and became routine, and then you slowly build and added to it. And now, today, perhaps you are a organic vegan homesteader and you grow all of your own food and raise your own your own crops, or you've become a farmer and you're raising your own livestock and sharing with your community and neighborhood at your local farmers market, selling it online. We know how to do this. We know what all the problems are. We know how to fix them. We just have to talk to each other and communicate and share and be safe spaces of knowledge and empowerment, so that the young people of this world and this country can truly take it in hand and move it forward into what we want. I mean, we were promised, I was promised the Jetsons. I was promised flying cars and a house that was automated and could clean itself and cook for me and take care of all of my basic needs. We do have that. We can build it. We can do it. Anybody, any veteran in this country should have a home completely built, custom to their support needs. What am I talking about? If you want to know who needs the most help and who to look to lead, one of the biggest is this disabled veterans in your local community, because they're dying alone and they're being treated like juvenile delinquents. I don't know when the last time you have been on military housing off base, veteran housing. Some of them look really good on the outside, but they're not. We forced men and women who sacrificed and made the decisions to join the military and fight for our freedoms and for this country. And we treat them like criminals. It's always happened. Look at what happened after Vietnam, Korea. How many of your parents, how many of your dads, your uncles, your grandfathers were so traumatized by those wars? And they didn't talk about them because we don't talk about that here. It's not polite. We don't talk about politics. We don't talk about religion. Shh. Do what we say. You'll understand when you're older. You'll become more conservative as time goes on. You'll understand why we do this for you. And we've gotten older and we're still like, no, nope, nope. It's not working. I can't own a home. My parents lost their home. My sister and her husband in the collapse of 2008-9 lost their home, which put me into homelessness again. This playbook, it's 2,000 years old. And the latest tool that they used, the most effective one, was Donald Trump. And I don't like to say his name. If you think he is stupid, I would like you to reconsider. He was indoctrinated by his family to be a Nazi. He is a misogynistic racist. And he uses those tools to steal wealth. He is a robber baron. He is a carpet bagger. He sold America. I don't know if anyone heard this, but the Department of Justice in Georgia just issued subpoenas. And one of them is for a property company called Cushman and Wakefield. And if you've never heard of them, they are a nationwide property management and property holder, both for residential as well as I'm sorry, the word is escaping me, but for corporate offices and things like that. And one of the things that Trump and his corporation and groups have done is they work with wealthy people to consume land and property and homes and hoard them. Cushman and Wakefield are one of the largest holders of residential housing in this country. They've done corporate takeovers of whole neighborhoods. Zillow now started, Zillow, it started out as an app to help people find housing, apartments. It's been awesome. I've used it. But what Zillow did was then they took that information and made it predatory. And they started buying these homes and properties, jacking up the prices, but not taking any of the responsibility for the care and the maintenance. They just pass them around to each other to make money. It's a false inflation. There's a false demand. Property values go up, rents go up, and options and go down. We have less and less, and it's because of greed. We've allowed them to it. They found a loophole. They found a way to manipulate us. They took away our homes and our American dream. That was the American dream, to own a home. And anybody could own a home if they wanted to. How many people do you know that actually can buy a home? You can't, not by yourself. Our children know this. They're not stupid. Please give them more credit. Please always, always assume competence. Let people prove to you that they are incompetent. Don't assume it. And just because someone doesn't communicate in the same language or the same way that you do not think that they do not have the intelligence or the ability to communicate just because you don't understand them or speak their language. Whether that be French or using an AAC or a picture board or sign language. Communication has many, many forms. And we have to stop judging and hearing and simply listen. Listen to understand. Because so many people don't understand. You don't understand why. And I, I want to help. I understand a lot of stuff. Like I said, I just can never turn my brain off. It just doesn't. It never stops. And so I'm constantly when I have a thinkity think is what I've started saying to my daughter. She started talking to me. I'm like, shh, don't talk to me. I'm having a thinkity think. And I got to write and make notes and things and look at pictures. And because I have these, I see the connections. You know, there's the Holy Trinity. Yes, I talked about three people in the world, and threes and threes and threes, and I'll just keep using it because it's true. But the Holy Trinity of women, the crone, the mother, and the virgin child. Um, and then you see these three um, in history, in art, things like um, Shakespeare, the three fates, taking the the threads from around the world, and people go to them for knowledge and insight, and they can't read the future. They don't know anything more than you do. They just they're able to make connections and to point them out and to be a mirror. And that's what I do. I just hold a mirror up. I give information. I try and help people think and try and be non-judgmental and loving and supportive, because we all just want unconditional love, understanding, and support. Doesn't mean that we can be a jerk or abusive and toxic and people still expose themselves to our negativity and toxicity. But we can be loved unconditionally even if we are a toxic person. And this has been very long, and I was not expecting to do this, but I just want to ask you, you know, is your superhero really a hero? Are they really doing what's right to help? Are they community building? Are they feeding? Are they clothing? Are they providing health care, clean drinking water, electricity, internet, hygiene? That's a superhero. Anybody can fight. The real fight is in the daily, deciding what to eat for dinner, how to pay our bills, how to raise our children, how to survive in a world that tells us that we are undeserving and should die every day. Who poison us? Poison our air, poison our water, poison our homes, poison our bodies, poison our world, just to simply extract wealth. Like the old doctors used to use leeches to put on bodies of their patients to draw out the toxins in the blood, right? It was a quack practice. Some of it did have some benefits, but for the most part, it was a proven scientific failure. It didn't work. It didn't do what they thought it did. We used to cut people and let them bleed. There were special, beautifully decorated porcelain, china, beautifully decorated pieces of arts and ceramics that were simply used to hold body parts for surgeons to slice people open and drain their blood. That was medical care. That was our science. Sounds a little bit like witchcraft to me. But we grew and we learned and we made mistakes. And we're going to keep making mistakes, but we just have to keep moving forward. But we got to try to do no harm. And stay out of the way of people who are already doing it. Because if you feel like this is impossible and you can't do anything, you're so sad and you're depressed. But I want to tell you this most important thing. You can be anything you want, wear anything you want, do anything you want. That's your choice of who you want to be in this world. And Mr. Rogers, his mom, helped him when he was younger because he was going through a terrible time. There was World War and poverty and tragedy and the Dust Bowl and people starving, not able to grow crops. There was water shortages and the stock market crash. We've been here before. And Mr. Rogers, his mother said to him, when you see terrible things happening, look for the helpers. Look for the heroes. Look for the people who are feeding the hungry. Look for the people who are caring for the sad and depressed. And help. And remember that you, my loves, you're not depressed. Don't argue with me. You're not depressed. Okay? You're not. You're oppressed. You were oppressed, my love. You're not depressed. You're oppressed. It's an absolutely natural response to the overwhelming reality of the shit show that this world is. So do the healthy things to help you manage that overwhelm and be there for each other in love and support and choose who you want to be. Are you going to be a helper or not? You are not depressed. You are oppressed. Never give up. Never surrender. Never be silent. I love you. Welcome to my world.